Hello, English learners. Welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And I'm Erica.
And today we're going to be bringing you the second part of our job interview series.
That's right. So this is an advanced lesson, and we're going to be talking about educational background and experience.
Right. So in the first part, we saw preparing for a job interview. Now we are at the job interview, and we're just going to be talking about your educational background and your job experience.
That's right. And the language we're going to learn is going to focus mostly on these two areas.
Okay, perfect. So let's take a look at some of the difficult words before we listen to the dialogue in Vocabulary Preview.
Vocabulary Preview.
All right, so we're going to talk about a few common words that have to do with education. Now, the first word, I think we might know this one, but there's a little trick to it. So the first one is major.
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 So, yeah, I guess everyone knows what a major is, right?
Yeah, it's the main subject that you study in university.
Right, so you can study business as a major or...
history.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but you can also use it as a verb, right?
That's right. I majored in history.
Majored in. So usually it's followed by the preposition in.
Yes, always, in fact.
Okay.
When used as a verb, I majored in science.
I majored in business.
Yes.
Okay, so you can say my major is business administration or history, or you can say I majored in business.
Yeah, and the same pattern applies to minor.
Okay, so minor, this is really interesting because this is more common in English-speaking countries, right?
That's right.
So what exactly is a minor?
Well, just like your major, but smaller.
Okay.
So if you major in history, maybe 60% of your classes are in history, and you minor in French, maybe 30 or 40% of your classes are in French.
So basically you can have two subjects in your degree. You can have a major in business with a minor in art.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting.
All right, and another two simple words, a bachelor's degree.
Bachelor's degree, okay.
A bachelor's degree is what you get after going to university for 4 years.
Okay, so a bachelor's degree, after 4 years, you get that.
Yep.
After that, you get a master's degree.
Right. So that's another 2 years after your bachelor's degree.
Okay, and I guess a master's is more focused on an area, right?
Yes, more specialized.
More specialized. And then the highest degree you can get is a PhD.
Exactly.
Which is a philosophy doctorate, right? But you're not actually getting a degree in philosophy.
No, it could be in international relations.
Okay. But this is really hard to get. You have to go to school for another 5 or 6 years, right?
Yeah.
And it's a lot of research, and not many people have it.
Yeah. Anyway, some simple words, but you know what? It's quite unique to the English-speaking world, this system, so we thought we'd bring it to you now.
Right, perfect. So now let's listen to this guy who is at an interview, and he's going to be talking about his education and work experience.
Thanks for coming in today. Did you have any trouble finding us? Please, take a seat.
Thank you.
So, let's get started. Tell me a bit about your educational background.
Sure. Well, I graduated with honors from Chesterton University with a major in business administration, with a specialization in information management, and I minored in psychology. I chose this course of study for 2 reasons. I wanted to gain some practical, marketable skills, which the information management track provided, and I also feel that the interpersonal skills are essential for professional success, hence the minor in psychology.
Interesting. And your postgraduate studies?
Well, I am really passionate about consumer behavior, so I pursued a master's in that area. I also strive to keep my professional skills current, so I continuously attend seminars and conferences related to management and customer service.
Very good. Now, tell me a little bit about your work experience. I see here that you previously worked at Oracle.
Yeah, I worked as their customer support manager, which brought me a breadth of experience in both client care and process management. I supervised and coordinated the customer support team as well as implemented new strategies to achieve better customer satisfaction.
Interesting.
Yes, in this position, I was able to make some pretty significant contributions to the overall success of the company. With the different initiatives that we implemented, we lowered our churn rate to about 5%, which had a direct impact on revenue.
Well, those are some pretty good answers to those questions, but I don't know, Marco.
There was a little awkward moment. I don't know if you guys heard it. Natural body... What's it called?
Functions. Yeah.
So,
oh, dear.
Well, making the interview a little bit more interesting, right? It doesn't have to be boring.
Exactly. But what is really interesting is some of the language he used to describe his educational background and work experience. So let's look at that now in Language Takeaway.
Language takeaway.
Okay, so in Language Takeaway today, we have 7 words that we want to focus on before we give you some tips about doing well on a job interview. So let's take a look at the first word. Course of study.
Course of study.
Course of study.
A course of study.
So what is a course of study exactly?
Basically, it's like a plan of study or a path of study.
Okay, so his course of study was...
Business administration.
Exactly, so that is his course of study. Now let's take a look at our second word. Track.
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 So he said he wanted to gain some practical, markable skills that the information management track provided.
Exactly.
So what does he mean by this track?
Again, basically, if the track of study is like the path of study.
Okay.
So the direction of your study.
Okay, so I guess it would be like, think of a train and the train tracks, right?
Exactly.
Where the train travels. So that's where it's taking you. That's the path that he followed or you should follow or you want to follow.
Yes.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. Now let's take a look at our third word, and it's a really nice conjunction. Hence.
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 H-E-N-C-E. Hence.
Hence. So it sounds fancy, but
Yes.
what
Really
does it
simple.
mean?
So. Therefore. Yeah.
Right. So you can use it as a conjunction between two ideas. So he said, what would be an example of how you could use hence?
You could say the economy is doing poorly, hence people are losing their jobs.
Okay. Hence. So therefore, in consequence.
Right.
So.
Exactly.
But it just sounds a lot more like professional.
Formal.
Formal.
Yeah.
Okay. So try and use this conjunction hence, right? Instead of saying so, therefore.
Yep.
Use it. Okay. Our fourth word.
Pursued.
Pursued.
He pursued a master's.
Okay. So to pursue.
To chase after something.
To chase
Rawr.
after. So you can pursue a master's degree like he did.
Yes, you can pursue a promotion.
A dream.
Nice one.
Can you pursue a girl?
Yes, you can.
All right. So pursue to chase.
Yes.
Okay. Now let's look at our next word. Strive.
Another great word you can use when talking about your experience. To strive is to try really hard.
To try really hard.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know we have some examples for strive.
Yeah, let's take a listen.
Example 1. At our company, we are always striving to improve our services. Example 2. He really strived to get a new job and his work paid off.
Okay, great examples of strive, to fight, to try really hard.
Yep.
All right. Okay, now the next word, I didn't really know what it meant, so this is really interesting. Breadth.
Breadth.
So it's kind of like saying bread, but adding a TH at the end.
Yeah.
Bread.
Breadth of experience.
Okay, so this basically means it's wide.
Exactly. So when you have a great breadth of experience, you have a wide variety of experience.
Okay, so maybe in different fields or in different jobs. So
Yep.
you can have experience like in marketing and in a little bit in finance and a little bit in management.
Yes, a breadth of experience.
All right. All right, and now for the last word, it's actually 3-in-1.
A 3-in-1 deal.
A 3-in-1 deal. That actually they are very related.
Okay.
Right? So when he talked about his work experience, he was saying he supervised and coordinated the customer support team.
Okay, so he watched over, right? And made things work together well.
To coordinate.
Yes.
So these are really great verbs that you can use when you're talking about your job responsibilities.
Yes.
I supervised.
I coordinated.
And he used another really great one that said to implement.
To implement, to make something happen, to put it in place.
Right? So he implemented new strategies.
Implemented new policies.
Okay. To set in action.
Exactly.
All right. So a lot of great vocabulary, a lot of great stuff, and well, you can use it for when you are at a job interview. So let's listen to this dialogue again. And when we come back, we're going to give you some tips so you'll do well in this part of the job interview.
Thanks for coming in today. Did you have any trouble finding us? Please, take a seat.
Thank you.
So, let's get started. Tell me a bit about your educational background.
Sure. Well, I graduated with honors from Chesterton University with a major in business administration, with a specialization in information management, and I minored in psychology. I chose this course of study for two reasons. I wanted to gain some practical, marketable skills, which the information management track provided, and I also feel that the interpersonal skills are essential for professional success, hence the minor in psychology.
Interesting. And your postgraduate studies?
Well, I am really passionate about consumer behavior, so I pursued a master's in that area. I also strive to keep my professional skills current, so I continuously attend seminars and conferences related to management and customer service.
Very good. Now, tell me a little bit about your work experience. I see here that you previously worked at Oracle.
Yeah, I worked as their customer support manager, which brought me a breadth of experience in both client care and process management. I supervised and coordinated the customer support team as well as implemented new strategies to achieve better customer satisfaction.
Interesting.
Yes, in this position, I was able to make some pretty significant contributions to the overall success of the company. With the different initiatives that we implemented, we lowered our churn rate to about 5%, which had a direct impact on revenue.
All right, well, I want to talk about two main things. And the first thing I want to talk about is how you address this question about your educational background. Like, what is the interviewer looking to find out?
Okay, perfect. So when you are talking about your educational background, you shouldn't only talk about your college degree, right?
Yep.
You should also talk about any type of training that you've had.
Yeah, I think it's really important to let the interviewer know that you're continually trying to update your skills and improve your knowledge. So any sort of courses or seminars that you might attend, this is a great chance to highlight those.
And that's what the interview is looking for, right?
Also, any trade publications, any magazines that you read related to your job is a great way to sort of highlight your desire to keep learning.
Well, I think that's really important because it's good that you went to a good university, you got this degree and everything, but continuously training yourself, and maybe just by listening to business podcasts or reading specific magazines or stuff like that is demonstrating that you care about what you do and that you are continuously learning, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so those are the main things to talk about in your educational background. Now, when this work experience question pops up, what should you really say?
When you're answering this question, I think there's something really important to keep in mind.
And what's that?
You want to make sure that you're being as specific as possible, right?
Right, so giving examples of what you've done.
Like really specifically what you did, all of the sort of the main achievements you have.
Okay, so like for example, we saw in our dialogue that he talked about specific strategies that he implemented to improve customer support in that company.
Right, and he gave some numbers.
Right, he said, he lowered the churn rate to about 5%.
So it's so important whenever you can attach a number to your success or your achievement. To be able to do that in the interview really demonstrates your achievement.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And another thing when you're talking about previous jobs is make sure you keep it on a positive note. Right? Even if your experience was not very good or you didn't like the company or you had problems, you should avoid talking about that and always keep it on a positive note.
Right. So if the interviewer asks you why you want to join this company, why you're looking to leave your current job, you want to give these positive reasons.
Right. You don't want to say, well, because my boss was a jerk or I didn't like the company anymore. You should answer it with something positive like, well, I think I need a change, or this job opportunity is more aligned with what I want to do in the future, etc. Yeah, so positive always on your interviews, and just, again, prepare for these questions that are always going to be there.
Yes.
So, Erica, I know that you've done a lot of interviews, and I understand that you've had a really weird question.
Yes. In an interview, I once got this question. If you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be?
Really?
Yeah, I'm not kidding. I really was asked that question.
What did you answer?
I think I said that I would want to be a willow tree because they're really beautiful.
Was that the right answer?
I don't know. Like, what are you supposed to answer to that question? I really don't know what the right answer was.
Well, some people, they'll ask you just, I don't know, random questions just to see what your response is. I think also maybe it's just how you deal with the pressure
or with the unexpected questions.
Right. So it's like that is pretty unexpected though. But I guess you handled it pretty well.
Okay. Well, I mean, I got the job. So
nice.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. I want to know from our listeners if they were a tree, what kind of tree they would be.
Yeah. And also tell us about, your job experience or your educational background. Well, I know, for example, that I've had a lot of different types of jobs. I've even been that person that gets on the bus and charges people the money.
I know.
It's
you've had every job
jobs
under the sun.
So, but it's great. So tell us, what's the weirdest job you've had? What's the craziest or the best job? Or any experiences?
Yes.
The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word. The history of the education you've had.
Educational background.
With special recognition for receiving very high marks.
With honors.
The main field of study in an undergraduate degree.
Major.
A limited area of study.
Specialization.
To have a secondary area of study in an undergraduate program.
Minor.
The combination of courses taken in a degree program.
Course of study.
Course of study.
Track.
Master's or PhD, education above the bachelor's degree level.
Postgraduate.
For that reason.
Hence.
Try to do something over a longer period of time.
Pursue.
Try hard to do something.
Strive.
A wide range or scope of something.
Breadth.
Important and large enough to have a noticeable effect.
Significant.
Adding or giving something.
Contribution.
University education.
Tertiary education.
Take the chance to do something before others do.
Take initiative.
Make something different in a special way.
Distinguish.
A good quality or feature that someone has.
Attribute.
Examine something in a careful and critical way.
Scrutinize.
Let's try that faster. Take the chance to do something before others do.
Take initiative.
A good quality or feature that someone has.
Attribute.
To have a secondary area of study in an undergraduate program.
Minor.
With special recognition for receiving very high marks.
With honors.
The history of the education you've had.
Educational background.
Try to do something over a longer period of time.
Pursue.
Course of study.
Track.
Master's or PhD, education above the bachelor's degree level.
Postgraduate.
For that reason.
Hence.
University education.
Tertiary education.
Adding or giving something.
Contribution.
The combination of courses taken in a degree program.
Course of study.
The main field of study in an undergraduate degree.
Major.
A limited area of study.
Specialization.
Try hard to do something.
Strive.
Important and large enough to have a noticeable effect.
Significant.
Make something different in a special way.
Distinguish.
Examine something in a careful and critical way.
Scrutinize.
A wide range or scope of something.
Breadth.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Course of study. I chose this course of study because it offers a wide range of work opportunities. Course of study. I want to change my course of study before the next semester starts. Course of study. My sister didn't choose her course of study. My parents decided for her. Pursue. They wanted to pursue their dream of traveling around the world, but it didn't happen. Pursue. My mother wants me to pursue a career in law. Pursue. You should really pursue that master's degree. It would really help your career. Strive. If you want to be successful, you must strive to achieve your goals. Strive. We strive to bring you outstanding customer service. Strive. Our company always strives to make our products better and better. Hence. The project was a complete failure. Hence, the project manager was fired. Hence. The project was postponed for 3 months, hence the delay in delivery. Hence. I never studied for my exams, hence my low marks.
Hello everyone and welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and today we're talking about things at the office.
That's right. We are at the office, but this time we are going to ask our boss or manager for a raise.
All right, so what is this word raise? Let's take a look at it in today's vocabulary preview.
Vocabulary preview.
All right, so we're going to ask for a raise. So if you are at your office and you talk to your boss and you say, I want a raise, what does that mean?
That means I want more money.
Okay, so I want a raise or increase in my salary.
That's right. So a raise is a thing that you ask for. And in this case, a raise means that you already work at the company, you already have a salary, and you want some more money each month.
Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. Let's listen to this dialogue. Excuse me, sir. May I talk to you?
Bill, sure, come on in. What can I do for you?
Well, sir, as you know, I have been an employee of this prestigious firm for over 10 years.
Yes?
I won't beat around the bush. Sir, I would like a raise. I currently have 3 companies after me, and so I decided to talk to you first.
A raise? Son, I would love to give you a raise, but this is just not the right time.
I understand your position, and I know that the current economic downturn has had a negative impact on sales. But you must also take into consideration my hard work, proactiveness, and loyalty to this company for over a decade.
Taking into account these factors and considering I don't want to start a brain drain, I'm willing to offer you a 10% raise and an extra 5 days of vacation time. How does that sound?
Great! It's a deal. Thank you, sir.
Before you go, just out of curiosity, what companies were after you?
Oh, the electric company, the gas company, and the water company. All right, we're back. So now, why don't we take a look at language takeaway?
Language takeaway.
So the conversation we just heard is a conversation between a manager or a boss and the employee. And the employee says, listen, I need to talk to you about something. I have been an employee at this prestigious firm for over 10 years. So prestigious is our first word.
Okay. Prestigious is an adjective, right?
That's right.
And it means very respected, very well known.
Esteemed. That's right. So something that is prestigious has a good reputation.
Like, for example, some universities, like you hear all the time about American universities like Harvard or Yale, which are considered to be prestigious universities.
Or the Nobel Peace Prize is a very prestigious award.
Okay, so it's an adjective to describe something that's respectable, well-known, or esteemed, as you said.
Exactly.
All right, and what's our next word?
Our next one is not so happy. This is what we've been experiencing in the global economy this last year or two. It's called an economic downturn.
All right, so an economic downturn is something negative, as you said. So it means that the economy is not doing very well.
Right, so economy, economic, you know what this means. But in this case, downturn is the key part of this phrase, to slow down or to decrease. So a downturn is a time when less people are making money and less money overall is being earned.
Okay, so an economic downturn. Very good. Why don't we move on to our next word, which is negative impact.
So the thing working here is the economic downturn, and it has had a negative impact on our sales, on this company's sales. So a negative impact, as you know from the first word, is not a good thing.
Right. It's an effect, right?
That's
an
right.
effect, but that's negative, so it's not a good effect.
So I could say that, Marco, being late has had a negative impact on your work lately.
Okay. Or the opposite now. What if something is a good effect on something?
So, Marco, your hard work has had a really positive impact on this company lately.
All right. Good. So you can use it negative impact or a positive impact. All right.
Right. So impact, again, is just the effect that something has on something else.
And, well, the boss said that he agrees to give him a raise because, in part, he didn't want to start a brain drain. What's that?
Oh, this is a very common phrase you hear about countries. They have a brain drain, or they want to avoid a brain drain. A drain is the part of a sink or a bathtub where the water goes down.
Okay.
It goes away. And so brain drain means all the brains or intelligent people or educated people leave a country and go to another country. Or in this case, leave a company and go to another company.
All right. So, for example, if all the employees at Apple, maybe they start to quit or they start to move jobs and start to work for maybe Microsoft or Google, that's a brain drain, right?
That's right, because you're talking about a large number of people. Maybe they're all unhappy because they say that working at Apple's not very nice. So they all leave and go to this other company. The same is true with countries. You can have very, very well-educated people who, when they stop studying, they want jobs, they all look somewhere else. They go to America or Mexico or England.
Okay.
And so that's called a brain drain because they all go away.
Okay. So 5 great phrases right there and words for you. Well, let's listen to this dialogue again, and we'll be back to take a look at Fluency Builder. Excuse me, sir. May I talk to you?
Bill, sure, come on in. What can I do for you?
Well, sir, as you know, I have been an employee of this prestigious firm for over 10 years.
Yes?
I won't beat around the bush. Sir, I would like a raise. I currently have 3 companies after me, and so I decided to talk to you first.
A raise? Son, I would love to give you a raise, but this is just not the right time.
I understand your position, and I know that the current economic downturn has had a negative impact on sales. But you must also take into consideration my hard work, proactiveness, and loyalty to this company for over a decade.
Taking into account these factors and considering I don't want to start a brain drain, I'm willing to offer you a 10% raise and an extra 5 days of vacation time. How does that sound?
Great! It's a deal. Thank you, sir.
Before you go, just out of curiosity, what companies were after you?
Oh, the electric company, the gas company, and the water company.
This first phrase in today's Fluency Builder is one of my favorites. It's something that we say often when we're having a conversation, and we want the other person to just tell us what they're talking about.
All right, so the guy said, you know what? I'm not going to beat around the bush.
Or you could also say, please don't beat around the bush.
Okay.
So I'm not sure where this phrase comes from, but it means please be direct, or I'm going to be direct. I will not wait any longer to tell you what I'm talking about.
So if somebody is beating around the bush, that means they are not being direct. They're not telling you something immediately.
It's, like when a person is trying to think, but, has a hard time and they're really trying to explain something, but, it's just, well, you know what I'm talking about. It's like that time with that thing where he did that. Okay, this is really annoying. I know. It's called beating around the bush because you just don't say what you're thinking.
Right, exactly. So you don't say something directly. Now, our next phrase is to take into consideration. Take something into consideration.
Well, this is something that the young man brings up when he's asking for a raise. He says, you should take into consideration all of these great things I do. This means when you make your decision, I want you to think about these things. So consideration means you're thinking when you're trying to make a decision.
To consider. Mm-hmm. All right, so to take something into consideration, or you can just say to consider.
So I'm interested in buying a new TV, but I have to take into consideration the fact that I don't have a lot of money. That means I probably won't get a new TV. I have to think about these things when I'm making my decision.
Right. Okay, very good. And our last phrase for today, towards the end, the boss was a little bit interested in knowing what happened or which companies were interested in him. So he said, just out of curiosity.
So this is something we say when we don't need to know something. It means that we would like to know because we're curious, we're interested, but not because I need to know right away what companies offer you jobs. So this is a polite way to ask why someone did something. So for example, so just out of curiosity, Marco, what kind of shampoo do you use?
That is very interesting knowledge that you want there.
Well, obviously, I don't need to know what kind of shampoo Marco uses, but I'm curious because maybe I'm going to buy a new kind of shampoo.
So you can start your sentence by using this phrase, just out of curiosity.
Just out of curiosity. It's a great one. Listen for that again as we listen to today's dialogue one more time, and we'll be back in a moment to talk about getting a raise.
Excuse me, sir. May I talk to you?
Bill, sure, come on in. What can I do for you?
Well, sir, as you know, I have been an employee of this prestigious firm for over 10 years.
Yes?
I won't beat around the bush. Sir, I would like a raise. I currently have 3 companies after me, and so I decided to talk to you first.
A raise? Son, I would love to give you a raise, but this is just not the right time.
I understand your position, and I know that the current economic downturn has had a negative impact on sales. But you must also take into consideration my hard work, proactiveness, and loyalty to this company for over a decade.
Taking into account these factors and considering I don't want to start a brain drain, I'm willing to offer you a 10% raise and an extra 5 days of vacation time. How does that sound?
Great! It's a deal. Thank you, sir.
Before you go, just out of curiosity, what companies were after you?
Oh, the electric company, the gas company, and the water company. All right, we're back. So, interesting enough, he needed a raise not because 3 companies wanted to hire him, but because he needed to pay his bills.
Well, this is funny because he's not talking about companies, that's right, who are offering him jobs. He's talking about the gas, the water, the electrical company.
Right.
It was a very funny dialogue, but I think asking for a raise is very hard to do because you know that your boss is worried about money or it's a bad time to ask, but you want to ask because it's important that you get the right compensation for your work.
Right. And actually, it's important to have a clear objective when you want to ask for a raise. So more or less what you want to earn, but plausible within the company. So you're not going to ask for a 100% raise, right? You can maybe aim for a 5 or 10%, and most likely you'll get it if you negotiate properly.
That's right. And sometimes a raise isn't just about money. You can also, like he did, ask for some time off. He gets some vacation days or perhaps some training.
Or bonuses.
Or a bonus. So this all depends on the kind of negotiations that you make, but it's worth it to ask. So please let us know if you've ever had a good time or a bad time asking for a raise. It can be a very nerve-wracking experience. I know personally I'm very uncomfortable with it. But we're excited to hear what you have to say. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them for us on our website, englishpod.com.
All right, we'll see you guys there.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
Avoid the subject by talking about something else. Beat around the bush. Increase in salary. Raise. To think about something before making a decision. Take into consideration. Give with the choice of accepting or rejecting. Offer. The quality of being loyal. Loyalty.
Let's try that faster.
The quality of being loyal. Loyalty. Avoid the subject by talking about something else. Beat around the bush. Increase in salary. Raise. To think about something before making a decision. Take into consideration. Give with the choice of accepting or rejecting. Offer.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Beat around the bush. Stop beating around the bush and tell me what you came here to say. Beat around the bush. We can't keep beating around the bush like this, because sooner or later they are going to find out. Beat around the bush. He tried to beat around the bush, but his father knew better and forced the truth from him. Raise. He was so happy when he got the raise that he didn't stop smiling for a week. Raise. My boss just gave me a raise. Raise. Do you think we can afford to give a raise to all of our employees? Take into consideration. Can you please take our family's needs and wants into consideration before you decide to spend the rest of our money gambling? Take into consideration. Before you decide which employee to promote, you should also take into consideration whether their skills would be better used at their current position or in their new position. Take into consideration. We need to take into consideration how offering our employees a 15% raise will affect our finances. Loyalty. Many businesses rely on customer loyalty to survive, which means that they have to make sure they treat their customers well. Loyalty. My loyalty is to my country. Loyalty. His loyalty to the company is unshakable, so we can count on his vote. Offer. I am willing to offer you a salary 10% higher than what they are offering you. Offer. She offered her help to her sister, but her sister didn't take it. Offer. I would offer you something to eat, but I have nothing in my cupboards.
Hello, English learners. Welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And my name is Catherine. And today we're talking about being on the road.
Yeah, we're going to be on the road, but we're going to encounter a little bit of car problems.
My favorite kind.
Yeah, I think it's happened to everyone. You're on the road, or maybe you're coming back from work. You get a flat tire or something happens to your car, right?
And it's always when you're in a rush.
And most of the time it's raining.
Yeah. Or snowing. So all of the circumstances definitely, well, they don't help, let's just say. All right, so before we listen to this dialogue, let's take a look at some of the words in today's vocabulary preview.
Vocabulary preview.
All right, so we're going to take a look at two words. They're kind of strange, I don't know, kind of difficult to understand, so that's why we're going to explain them. The first one is spew, to spew.
It's a verb, okay? To spew. Well, what can spew? A volcano can spew.
Exactly.
An engine can spew. A person can spew.
Yeah, that's not very nice.
No.
So basically, it's to like expel or to
Shoot out
from your mouth or something liquid. So in the case of a person, right?
So if a person spews, it means a person throws up, but it's usually very forceful. All right, it's very messy. A volcano can spew lava.
Exactly. So a volcano is spewing lava. Now, for the next word that we have, it's an informal way of saying that something is broken.
We could say it's busted.
It's busted. My DVD player is busted.
Man, my phone is busted.
So it's an informal way, very popular, very common, I would say, to describe that something is not working. I don't think many people actually say, well, it's broken or it's damaged.
Yeah, they're pretty much mixed, I think. But you will definitely hear busted if you're talking to native English speakers.
Or even, like, for example, your arm. Oh, he's got a busted arm.
Exactly. So busted.
All right, so let's listen to our dialogue for the first time. Let's see what's going on with this car trouble, and then we'll come back and explain something.
Howdy. Nice car. What seems to be the problem?
I don't know. The stupid old car started spewing white smoke and it just died on me. Luckily, I managed to start it up and drive it here. What do you think it is?
Not sure yet. How about you pop the hood and we can take a look? Doesn't look good.
What do you mean? My daddy gave me this car for my birthday last month. It's brand new.
Well, Missy, the white smoke that you saw is steam from the radiator. You overheated your engine, so now the pistons are busted, and so is your transmission. You should have called us and we could have towed you over here when your car died.
So, how long is this gonna take? An hour?
I'm afraid a bit more than that. We need to order the spare parts, take apart your electrical system, fuel pump, and engine, and then put it back together again. You were gonna have to leave it here for at least 2 weeks.
What? How am I supposed to go to school or go shopping? This is not happening. So if I were the mechanic, I would not be very happy to be dealing with someone like this girl.
I think it's well, maybe it's a little bit stereotypical that we put it as a girl, because guys and girls, so many people don't know anything about cars or mechanics. Right?
And in the States, there's a lot of female mechanics too, so it's it's mixed.
Yeah. But definitely it's something that happens all the time, and probably the mechanic will overcharge her as well, because apparently she doesn't know what she's doing.
And that's one of the reasons we want to give you the vocabulary to deal with these situations. So let's look at some of those car words in today's language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
All right, so we're going to take a look at very specific words related to cars and the engines and everything. So let's start with the first one.
Radiator.
Radiator. All right, so the radiator of the car.
So a radiator is something that you normally find in the front of the car near the engine. It usually gets very, very hot, right?
Yeah.
So one of the big issues is radiators getting too hot because there's no way to cool them down.
So if you live in a place that's very hot, the radiator keeps your engine cool because it has water in it. So if it overheats, or maybe you didn't put enough water in there, then it'll start spewing steam like in this dialogue.
And if you have a problem with your radiator, you could actually do a lot of damage to your engine, which is why this is important.
Exactly, and that's what happened in this dialogue. So a radiator. Now, because the radiator wasn't working well, it overheated the engine, and he said they had some busted pistons.
So broken pistons. Pistons are important because they're kind of like valves that go up and down.
Right, so inside your engine you have mini explosions and the pistons move up and down, and that's what actually moves your car.
Right, and so pistons in general are things in mechanics. So like a trumpet has pistons, things that go up and down and that allow for the flow of
Air or something like that. Very good. So that's a piston. And well, another very common mechanic term is the transmission.
All right, so the transmission, what happens if your transmission dies? Can you still drive?
You basically can't move, or maybe you only have one gear or two gears.
All right, so think about transmission as coming from the word to transmit. That means to transfer. Right.
So this is the part of the car that transfers energy or the power to actually move the car. So the transmission.
And we've got the mechanic who says, well, we've got to order you some spare parts. So first, let's look at the word spare. What's another word for spare?
Additional, maybe
Extra?
Extra.
Right, so spare means extra. Parts are, well, pieces. So he's talking about ordering a new transmission, new pistons, things to replace the broken things.
Spare parts. So this is where you go to the mechanic to get some spare parts and
'Cause
get them installed.
You probably don't have many spare parts at home, right? You got a transmission lying around.
Well, yeah, so spare parts. And the last word that we're going to take a look at is a fuel pump.
Okay, so a pump is you could have a bike pump,
A water pump.
water pump. So these are some things that we use very, very often. But a fuel pump is something that allows gasoline, to get into your engine.
So it's basically a device that pushes gasoline into the engine so you can start. And that's the same thing with the water pump. It's a device that pushes water.
Or an air pump is something that pushes air into your tires on your bicycle.
Exactly. So a fuel pump, water pump, etc.
Wow, I feel like we know a lot about cars.
Yeah, apparently we do, see? All right, so now that we've taken a look at all of these great words, let's move on to a couple of phrases in Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
All right, these are phrases that you hear sometimes when you're talking about electronics, but in today's lesson, we're also talking about specific car phrases, so you're going to hear these all the time at the mechanics.
Right, and the first one is, the car suddenly died on me.
All right, to die on. So we keep these two words together, die on. Oh man, so while you were driving, your car died. It stopped moving.
So that means that it doesn't work anymore. And it's not only for cars, right? You can say my MP3 player died on me today.
Exactly. And what it means is it's not like you left it and you forgot about it and you tried it again and it didn't work. It means while you're using it, it dies. It doesn't work.
Exactly. So I think this phrase is a good one to give some other examples. So let's listen.
Example 1.
My CD player died on me, and I had to listen to the radio.
Example 2.
Get that medicine over here fast or this guy's gonna die on me.
Example 3.
I forgot to charge my mobile phone. It's gonna die on me soon.
And so this next one is a phrase you hear. The first thing you hear maybe when you tell someone you have a car problem.
Right, you tell them to pop the hood.
Or let's pop the hood. So this means let's open the front part of the car, the hood, to look at the engine, transmission, all those parts.
Exactly. So you can say open the hood, but the most common one is pop the hood.
So the reason is because there's a little spring and you
Yeah.
have to pull inside the car and it goes pop,
Yeah.
and there's a little jump.
Yeah,
the hood
exactly.
jumps. So it's literally popping.
Right. Or you can also say the trunk, right? The back part of the car.
Hey, can you pop the trunk for me? I've got to put some stuff inside.
Exactly. So pop the hood, pop the trunk.
And next we've got this girl actually who's talking about her car because she just got this car. So it's another way to say it's a new car.
It's brand new.
Is that more new than new?
it's like newer than you.
All right, so brand, you think about brands like Ford or Gucci. These are brands, but brand new means she maybe got it like today.
So it's brand new. It's very, very new.
Did you see my brand new watch?
Wow, it is nice. Where'd you get it? All right, so brand new. And well, the last phrase that we have for you today is to take apart something.
All right, so this is very popular with young children. Like they like to take things apart so they can find out how they work. But to take apart means to take all the pieces and to pull them out.
Yeah, I used to do that a lot when I was a kid. I used to take apart any electronic device to kind of see how it works, and then I would try to put it back together again. And
That's why you're so smart.
Well, it never really worked. It worked half the time.
So the problem is always putting them back together again, right?
Exactly. So you can take it apart, but then you put it back together, and there's always a screw missing, or a screw that's extra, or 2 or 3 parts. It's very
Not
weird.
a good sign.
All right, so we've taken a look at a lot of great words and phrases, so let's listen to this dialogue for the last time.
Howdy. Nice car. What seems to be the problem?
I don't know. The stupid old car started spewing white smoke and it just died on me. Luckily, I managed to start it up and drive it here. What do you think it is?
Not sure yet. How about you pop the hood and we can take a look? Doesn't look good.
What do you mean? My daddy gave me this car for my birthday last month. It's brand new.
Well, Missy, the white smoke that you saw is steam from the radiator. You overheated your engine, so now the pistons are busted, and so is your transmission. You should have called us and we could have towed you over here when your car died.
So, how long is this gonna take? An hour?
I'm afraid a bit more than that. We need to order the spare parts, take apart your electrical system, fuel pump, and engine, and then put it back together again. You were gonna have to leave it here for at least 2 weeks.
What? How am I supposed to go to school or go shopping? This is not happening.
All right, so car trouble. Have you ever had like any very serious car trouble, or like something weird happened to your car?
Actually, the week before I decided to leave Chicago, I had this 1991 Honda Civic hatchback, so only 2 doors.
Nice.
And I was driving home from work. I was on the highway, had the radio on, the windows open, and then doo 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 doo, boom.
It died.
It died in the middle of the highway during rush hour, right? So that's when there's
Wow.
tons of cars, and I didn't know what to do. So I'm calling people, and then all of a sudden I see someone tapping on my window, and there's cars everywhere. And it's this guy. And he's like, listen, do you need a hand? I said, yes. So I put the car in neutral so that there's no brake. And he pushed it to
Wow.
a side road and gave me a ride home.
No way.
He was the coolest guy. He was so nice. And he was just there with his truck. He's a gardener and just gave me a ride home. It was super, super cool.
Wow.
And so it turns out my engine died. No, the engine was new. It was the transmission. It was shot. It was totally broken.
Wow.
But I was very lucky to have such a kind person.
Yeah, that's a good story, because usually people are too afraid, or maybe a little bit reluctant to stop and see if you're okay, or if you need a ride or something, because you can't really trust people these days. So, but it's good. Once I saw somebody on the side of the road. It had a flat tire. It was 2 girls, and they didn't know what to do. So I was like passing by. It was actually raining. And I was like, hey, do you guys need a hand? And they're like, yeah, please, man. We can't locate my dad or whatever. So I was like, changing the tire, it's not a big deal, right? And then they're
Right.
like, oh, I think, and they wanted to tip me. They wanted to give
you
me some money.
serious?
They're like, oh, please take this. You're so kind. Your time, and you're all wet. And I'm like, no, don't worry about it.
No, it's just a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
If you know anything about cars, I mean,
Yeah.
or if you can offer someone a lift. I know it's not terribly safe to ride with strangers, but this guy totally helped me out. So
Nice. All right. Well, maybe you guys have some cool or maybe some interesting stories of what's happened with your cars, or maybe you've helped somebody out. So come to our website at englishpod.com and let us know.
And of course, if you have any questions about the vocabulary or phrases that you heard today, please ask away. Don't hesitate. And well, again, we hope to see you on the website.
All right. We'll see you guys there.
Bye.
Bye. The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word. To flow out of something in a fast and forceful way.
Spew.
The metal casing enclosing a set of gears in a motor vehicle.
Gearbox.
To stop working or running while in use by someone.
Die on.
A tubular acoustic device inserted in the exhaust system that is designed to reduce noise.
Muffler.
Broken.
Busted.
Control mechanism for keeping an automobile at a set speed.
Cruise control.
To remove all the pieces.
Take apart.
To pass after catching up with another vehicle on the road.
Overtake.
Introduces request or suggestion.
How about?
A device that is locked on the wheel of a car by the police to prevent it from moving.
Boot.
Let's try that faster. Broken.
Busted.
To flow out of something in a fast and forceful way.
Spew.
To remove all the pieces.
Take apart.
Introduces request or suggestion.
How about?
To pass after catching up with another vehicle on the road.
Overtake.
To stop working or running while in use by someone.
Die on.
Control mechanism for keeping an automobile at a set speed.
Cruise control.
A tubular acoustic device inserted in the exhaust system that is designed to reduce noise.
Muffler.
The metal casing enclosing a set of gears in a motor vehicle.
Gearbox.
A device that is locked on the wheel of a car by the police to prevent it from moving.
Boot.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Spew. Everyone in the village was evacuated when the volcano started spewing lava. Spew. After 10 hours of constant interrogation, the suspect finally spewed the truth. Spew. Frank had too much to drink and spewed all over the car. Die on. My CD player died on me, and I had to listen to the radio. Die on. Get that medicine over here fast, or this guy's gonna die on me. Die on. I forgot to charge my mobile phone. It's gonna die on me soon. How about? How about we go see a movie tonight? How about? How about you be quiet and let me do my job? How about? How about we get married in Cancun instead of Greece? Busted. We were playing baseball in the backyard, and I accidentally busted a window. Busted. Mike was in a car accident and busted his rib and arm. Busted. The cat knocked over my mom's favorite vase and it busted into 1,000,000 pieces. Take apart. Once I'd taken the clock apart, I couldn't fit the bits together again. Take apart. When I was a kid, I loved taking apart my toys to see how they work. Take apart. This book shows you how to take apart electronic devices and gadgets.